Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Of course. Love the colors.
So I'll just start by saying I'm Amber Leon, but I professionally go by Glam. And I am a image creator and a creative consultant. So, as I really read your story, I automatically identified with it. I'm a fashion girly too. And, your story was very inspiring to me because of your perseverance, where you started and where you are now. And it's just so fitting. I loved when you changed, actually, the panel name to Fashion as Empowerment.
Yes.
That's powerful. Can you tell me, how fashion has empowered you?
Okay. Well, let me just start say I'm Aisha McShaw. I am the CEO of Aisha McShaw Designs. I have a women's clothing line in New York City, and I'm also working with men now. We do tailoring, we do evening custom pieces, and I've been doing this since 2015, and I just love to create. I'm very passionate about making clothes and making clothes for women to feel empowered. And yeah, that's what I do. I'm not going to Paris Fashion Week, but I do source my fabric in Paris. I go to a lot of the trade shows there.
Well, since we're talking about Fashion Week, let's start there because so let's take it back just a little bit. So interestingly enough, right, you started in a very corporate setting. You started in banking.
Yes.
And you were there for 11 years, correct?
Yep.
So tell me about when you decided to make the transition, because I know this happened in 2018 and you were in New York Fashion Week. So that's huge. Yes. How did you get that start and what pushed you into that?
Sure. Wow. I'm going to keep it short because it's hot and
you're right.
Lovely day and I love the heat. But so I worked in corporate for 11 years in banking. I thought I had arrived because I had my own office and I, made a lot of money. I also worked in retail part-time when I worked in corporate because I love fashion so much. And I also wanted to be able to buy nice clothes. I worked at Banana Republic and I used to wear their suits to work. And I remember my boss, which was a white lady, she always asked me, where was I going when I walked in the door? And I used to say, I'm coming to work. And I always felt a little, insecure about it because I felt like, she felt a little insecure by me dressing up. But I felt like that was my time to express who I was. And also I felt like I wanted to work even on a Monday, when I'm dressed up, even I don't feel like it, but I feel good, I'm going to deliver. And so that's always been my story. But yeah, I worked 11 years. One day I was on my way to work in the morning and a car ran in back of me. It was raining. And at that point, it wasn't a bad accident. I was alive, but I had a crooked neck and, suffered a lot of, minor injuries. And I worked since I was 13. So I've always had a job. So I was like devastated because I was like, well, what do I do? So I had to be home for about 3 months. And in those 3 months, I started to think, all right, is banking really what you want to do? You've always had a retail job and, every job you had, you always had a retail job. And so I started to kind of like think about what else I could do. And I reached out to someone. So I had to pivot, right? Talk about pivot. That's the moment. And I didn't even know the word. And now I get it. Yes, I definitely had to pivot at that moment. So I had some time. And when they say be still, then you really get to, see where is it that you want to go. And it's so important for us to be still. But in that time of stillness, I found my passion. I reached out to a young lady that was a wardrobe consultant for Worth, New York. It was a woman's business.
Okay.
That it was a woman that owned this business, and it was a couple women from different towns in Westchester, and they would sell clothes in their homes. And these women were powerful women. They were women in the church. They were women that was active in the communities, and they sold clothes to corporate women and women who wanted to dress, fine and modest. They were very modest. And sometimes, the clothes wasn't for me because I was young and I wanted to, I wanted a little, cut in the sleeve or just a little bit, a little show.
You want to put a little spice on it.
Tasteful. But so they were very modest. And I feel like I've always dressed modest anyway, going back to high school, wearing my mother's blazers with my jeans and T-shirts, going to school. But I love the modest, but I felt like it wasn't my... it wasn't my look. Anyway, I reached out to her. Let me go back. I'm sorry. I'm going all over the place, but let me go back. So I reached out to her. I was buying clothes from her to wear to work and go to events. And I asked her, how can I be a wardrobe consultant like you? And she said, let me ask my boss. Let me figure out how I can connect with my boss. And so I spoke with her boss, and she told me, you need 250 contacts. And I said, well, where am I going to get 250 contacts,
That's hard.
I did go to church, but I wasn't a member of any church. And I had to do it at the time. So I was working 2 jobs, and I wasn't really a part of the community, which I should have been. But anyway, I had contacts from my corporate job. From banking, right? I had all my customers' contacts, and I probably shouldn't have done that. So I used some of the contacts that I had, and then I just mixed it in with friends and family. And so we got the 250 contacts. I felt like, all my life I had to be creative. I was raised by a single mother. I am a single mother, and I feel like part of being a single mother, you have to be creative. So that was my creative moment. I got my 250 contacts. I started, working at Worth. They would give me 60 pieces each season to show in my apartment. And I'll have my book, and I'll call up all my friends and people that know. And I landed Gail King. Gail King was one of my clients.
Okay.
So she came to my house.
Yes, that's huge.
She came to my house, and I was like, I'm a fan. And I had to tell her I was a fan of Oprah. And I was like, I didn't want to feel like, I'm like, this is business, but I have to tell her that I love her and I love Oprah. Like, that's my girl,
Can I ask you a question? At that point, did you already completely leave your corporate job, or was that job now funding what you were doing?
No, I completely left. Yeah, I completely left. It was funding what I was doing, but it was a lot of work because it was like my own business. I had to set up, I had to buy all the equipment to set up the clothes, and I had to make sure I had ladies coming in for, to do a show,
So question.
Trunk show. We did trunk shows at the time, or one-on-one appointments. So I was asking her, like when I was in banking, I was asking everyone to open up an account, or I was like, do you need a mortgage? Do you need like any financial, So I was like, it went to fashion. It was like, do you need a dress? Like, I have a perfect dress for you. So I was so good with selling products to other people because I've been in retail all my life, right? And so, but when I was there, it just gave me a taste of what I wanted. But I also knew that Worth wasn't where I wanted to be. That I needed to create for myself. That I had my own vision and my own ideas of how I wanted to look, and I started with myself, right?
Well, I was going to say, let's talk about that, because when moving into that field, and taking a chance on yourself, by no means could that be easy. What were some of the struggles within that you had to overcome? Because I think that in our industry and in all industries, when we're pivoting and moving in a very different direction, the struggles that we have internally is something that we're all going through. So being that we are speaking empowerment, how can you tell us a little bit about your story moving into?
Well, it was definitely the doubts, right? Any creative person have doubts and fears, right? Because we're putting out work and we want everyone else to love our work just like how we love our work, or to just validate us. And so early on, I knew that if I was going to create, I needed to believe in myself. I needed to kill the fears or fear it and still keep moving. I knew that I was going to be my best champion. Like, I was going to be the person that root for me all the time. I knew that I wasn't going to be able to create for every woman. Every woman is not my woman, And so, go ahead.
Yes.
Alex, do you feel like the accident pushed you into what if the accident never happened, you would have never pivoted?
Honey, that accident happened for a reason. When that accident happened, actually 2 weeks before that, someone had ran into me when I was on the way taking my daughter to get school supplies, and a young girl driving a car ran into me. And then 2 weeks later, that accident happened.
Yeah.
And that's a sign of slow down.
Yeah,
slow down. This is not where you're supposed to be. Mm-hmm. You're driving to a job because it's just financing your bills, because you don't want to give up. You've been working since you're 13. You don't give up on a job. You never quit a job. They would have to throw you out for you to leave, because that's failure. I've been taught you have to work all the time. You have to work. My grandmother, you need a job. You have to have a job, which is fine. But they never said, find a job that you love. Find a job that brings purpose. And I feel like I was doing purpose work, because there were clients that came in that needed mortgages or loans, right? I did financial assessments for them. So I was still helping people, but I knew all along that fashion was my thing, but no one ever, ever, ever told me that I could do it. So I had to do it on my own. And if I didn't have that car accident, I probably still would be in corporate because it was comfortable, right? And we stay in our comfort zones. And so stepping out and then actually doing a show during Fashion Week in 2016. And the show, I had two lovely guys that helped me put it all together.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. How was it? Because I noticed that you got best looks.
Yeah.
So how is that breaking into the industry?
I got best looks. And this lady that was in the industry. Yeah. And so I got a lot of no's along the way, or why do you think you could do this? Right? Like, you shouldn't do this. Right? And I got a lot of pushbacks. It was one lady that said, why are you going to do a show that's on the same day as Tom Ford?
Oh my God.
The same day of all these big brands. I said, because I'm Aisha McShaw and I have different stuff. Tom Ford has a big name. Why am I competing with him? Yeah. There's no competition right there, right? Yeah. And so I just said, I'm going to do it, because even when I was younger, I always had this, I don't know, I think I just always had this persona of walking with my head up, knowing that I have value. Yeah. I always had that. I don't know, God gave it to me, or it must have been my grandmother. She's a fine lady and she's my hero, and I've always seen her just be a lady. Yeah. And so and have very strong, but still sweet and elegant. And I think that's where I got it from. But I did the show. She told me I should not do the show because all these big brands, fashion designers are doing it. No one's going to listen to me. And E! News picked 4 outfits of best dress in 2016. And I said, wow, look at that.
as a breakout,
Yes, yes.
fashion presence.
And
That's
the
amazing.
show just went so it just went so smooth. Like I've been doing it
In an industry that's really hard to
doing
break
it
into.
for so long.
So
Yeah.
now, this is, to create the level of success that you've had in this short, this is kind of a short amount of time. You've been doing this about 6 years. How did you navigate? Because you came in 2018, you got Best Looks, and then we got hit by COVID. How did that impact?
Talk about another pivot. I'm like, okay, I feel like I arrived, like I'm doing good, right? I'm making all these custom looks for people. We're going to all these galas. We're doing these things. It's exciting. I'm like, yeah. And then COVID happens. And I'm like, okay, nobody's going anywhere. Who's going to wear my clothes? What do I do? So anyway, I actually embraced COVID because I needed to take a break.
Yeah.
I needed to just step back and really look at the business, really see, understand what I was creating, who I'm creating for, just be very intentional about what I was doing and doing it on purpose, And so I had to pivot. So COVID gave me time to stay home, to put a collection together. And during that time, I created that dress.
Yes. Let me stand.
And I created a small collection on my website at aishamcshaw.com I started looking in my closet. I'm like, oh, what don't I have? What would I have I loved to
That was
my closet,
my
right?
question.
So it's always the things that I would want to see in my closet. And I'm like, I'm hoping the other lady next to me like it too. And I've been lucky that they have, but I'm still looking for more of my community of ladies that understand that dressing is a form of empowerment.
Absolutely.
And if we want to be taken seriously, we really need to understand that professional image is important. And we want to close deals. We have women that are impacting this world. We need to look the part. We can't walk in with sheer clothes on and thinking that someone's going to take us serious, right?
And also impacts your own personal confidence so that you can own the room.
Yes. And it's also distractions. I knew early on that dressing was a form of expression from when I was a kid, getting in trouble for going to school, cutting up my clothes, sewing. I would sew like hearts, and I would do all kinds of stuff because I learned how to sew in home economics in 8th grade.
Oh, nice.
And my mom would get so mad at me because I learned how to sew. They should not have taught me how to hand sew because I was cutting up everything. I was cutting up stuff. I was going to school, and they're like, "You can't wear that. You got to go home." And I was like, "Wow, this is a self-expression." And so back then, I knew that I always wanted to look different. I lived in a small town, Mount Vernon. Nothing goes on there really, right? So I had clothes was my freedom from where I lived, and you would call it the ghetto. I didn't call it the ghetto back then. I never knew that we didn't have what we didn't have, right?
Yeah.
It all, was important for my journey. But fashion, you wouldn't have known that I lived in a ghetto because I was always put together.
I know.
And my mom didn't have a lot, but she made sure every school year I had new clothes.
So how are you impacting your children? Because we're speaking a lot about how your mom impacted you.
Right.
What are you telling, your daughter?
Oh, wow. So it's not easy, right? My daughter's turning 23. I'm her stylist. She would tell anyone I'm her stylist.
Okay, well, that's a good start.
All her friends.
If her moms are stylists.
Yeah, I'm her stylist. But we have some discussions. Even now, she just finished college. She just graduated from Penn State.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yes, I'm so proud of her. And she's looking for clothes, right? She's working at Kenneth Cole doing marketing.
Awesome.
And she's like, "Mom, I can't find clothes to fit me," right? Because she she has a different body type, right? Like all women, we're in that set. But when we're in these stores, I think sometimes they feel like everyone is the same size, right?
Yeah.
And so she's actually feeling it. She's like, Ma, and she's not tall. She's like, I can't find no pants to fit me. I can't find a blazer. And so luckily she has me, because I'm going to have my factory make her one. We're going to custom fit her. But that's her gift.
Yes.
I'm like, get the dream job, but I'm going to make the suit for you. But
yeah,
she has a lot of problems. And I even went in the store the other day. I was in Bloomingdale's and I was trying to find stuff for her. And it was so hard. It was a size, they didn't have a size. She's a size 10, 12. They didn't have any 10s, 12s. They were like, oh, you have to get it online. But what happens when a woman wears a 10? She can't, she's not
right. She's not valued.
Right. She's not seen.
So I want to ask you about your silhouette since we're there. Tell me about your silhouette, and does it address any of those issues?
My silhouette, that's why I do custom. I love creating for women who want to stand apart, who want to stand out, who love to invest, that know the importance of investing in a wardrobe. It's so important to invest in ourselves, but also invest in your wardrobe. I always say you don't need a lot of things. If you have a good capsule wardrobe, it would take you everywhere. You can mix and match.
Absolutely.
And so that's what I'm pushing, and I'm helping my daughter create that. So when I'm buying things for her in the store, I'm buying that blazer, I'm buying those trousers,
right?
I'm buying that blouse, I'm buying her things to help her when she's going to work, because I want her to be taken serious.
Yeah.
And so sometimes, she's young. So sometimes she comes out and she wears certain things and I go, well, where are you going?
Yeah.
Are you going to the gym?
Right.
Because why do you have that on? It's like but I know, but we have to, it depends. You have to do much better. And it makes you feel good.
It definitely makes you feel good.
It gives you that.
So speaking of feel good, right? We're out of time.
Yeah.
However, I want you to just, what do you want to leave, everyone with about Aisha McShaw, the brand Aisha McShaw, and empowering, women? What do you want to leave us with?
Well, I would like for everyone to just stay empowered, be empowered, dress the part, dress the part. Stay creative. I would say, my mission is mainly towards the young woman today. It's like, it's okay to put yourself together. You could stay classic. My motto, stay classic, because trends come and go.
Yes.
But when you remain classic,
absolutely
timeless, you're going places.
Yeah. You never go out of
the meaning of my name.
We have to wrap up.
The meaning of my name is it means alive. It means alive. Yes, and I thought it was a good idea to name my clothing line after my name, which
that's beautiful.
Alive. Yes.
Well, if you definitely, I think that everyone should check you out on Instagram, because you are very much alive. From your quotes to your yoga, to everything that you embody. So I think if women want a real example, young women want an example to see how, a woman carries herself, how she, steps in a room. Aisha McShaw, you'd be the greatest person to check out.
You guys are ready to invest in your wardrobe?
Yes.
Hit me up. AishaMcShaw.com. Aisha McShaw Official on Instagram. I'm here for you.
And we want to just thank Culture Mix for this experience and for shining the light.
Culture Mix.
Yes, for shining.
Lisa.
Yes, we appreciate that.
Trying to get me here for years. So I'm so happy to be here with her.
Yes, thank you for shining the light on these spaces.
Yes.
We need, and for, us to be able to talk about our
and fashion is important. I think,
definition of creativity.
Yes, and we're just going to be empowering women all day.
Yes,
through our fashion.
So thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you.